welcome back to the 100th episode of the Massive Passive Income Show. I'm Jason.
And I'm Colter. And man, to summarize the almost year and a half that we've been on this journey, and the reasons why, I think that that's what we should dive into. Like, why have we spent so much time, energy, collecting our thoughts, putting show plans together, having these conversations? Like, what has it meant to you, Jason?
Wow. You know, I did a radio program back in 2006 and 7 and 8, and moved to Boise. We did a radio program over there, but radio for just the regular person kind of went away. All these big national shows came in and bought up all the times. And so we got kicked off AM 590 because of Glenn Beck. And I love Glenn Beck. I listen to him every day. But I used to have the Wednesday spot from 8:30 to 10 o'clock every Wednesday. And it was awesome. I loved it. We had a following and we got to talk to people. And then we went to Boise. We did the same thing for about a year over there. And then a big corporate event came in and took that spot. And I didn't have the money to do those big events, where they take all that money and all that advertising. And I don't blame the radio stations at all. But ever since then, 2009, 10, I think it was 10 when we stopped that one in Boise, I've been wanting to do something. And, then podcasts became so popular. And man, I told people for 2 years, I want to do podcasts, but it's kind of tough. I just had to show up to the radio station. They did everything. All I did was just sit up there and talk. And they did all the, back and forth commercials and the whole bit. And then I ran into Colter, and Colter and I've known each other since 2008. And I said, hey, we want to do a podcast. He's like, are you kidding? Let's do one. And so he jumped in, and without Colter, this would not have happened. The equipment, the introducing us to Ryan, who's been able to do it. And man, we hit the ground running. And our first couple were a little rough, I think. And they still probably are rough. But I think we found our groove. And I love talking about my experiences. I love just talking about everyday things. And I love talking about real estate. And I spent years driving truck up and down the interstate, listening to books, mindset books, and some of the great entrepreneurial minds of our time with Jim Rohn and Tony Robbins and, all these great people. And I learned so much from them on how I could change my mindset, and change that mindset got me out of my job and made me an entrepreneur. And so I think that's the main reason why I love doing this podcast, because I think there's tons of people out there that are thinking, can I do something different? Is there something else out there that I could make money at? Real estate seems like a fun thing to do. Can I really do it? And so I just hope that our small contribution, a couple times a week for the last year and a half has helped some people out.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to be a little bit shorter than Jason was, and that's not in stature. That's in number of words used.
Sorry. I just kind of went off on that, didn't I?
So that's the end of our episode, everyone. Actually, I love Jason, and I've really appreciated being able to get to know him more so over this year and a half, because when you spend this much time with somebody and you get to ask, personal questions, you get to hear the personal stories, the experiences, and I think about what that can do for the young entrepreneur, the young investor, and somebody that, they may be more experienced in years. And it's just time to start, right? The time to plant a tree is yesterday. The next best time is to plant it right now, today.
Yeah, that's so true.
And I think that's what we're really trying to invite is action based on some principles that have allowed for us to experience the freedoms, the financial freedoms and the time freedoms that we have in our own businesses and our own investments. But also what we've been able to do in regards to resources of building the businesses that we have. And, so as I go throughout the last year and, the investment that we've made of time and money into a podcast like this, it isn't just about us, right? Like Jason and I get to talk and, interviewing people and sharing their stories and, the community that we, and the following that we've been able to gain has been a true blessing in my life, because it also creates more opportunities. And so selfishly, it has happened to where this law of reciprocity, we've given so much information, but there's so much that has come back And I'm really grateful for that. And I really do believe in the law of reciprocity.
I do too.
And, and I think about over the years, I've had so many like sit down lunches. And, if somebody invites you to lunch, it's typically because they're like, oh, Jason has something and I hope to gain that, right?
Yeah.
And
I tell people if you buy me some Diet Cokes, I start speaking a lot after number 2 or number 3. So.
but that's true, right?
Yeah.
Like being able to share our knowledge, this allows for us to just share it with that many more people, right? This can reach the masses, whereas an isolated lunch at a little diner can only reach so many ears, and so that's where we really wanted to talk to the masses. We can share our story, the experiences.
And I'm not kidding. This would not have happened. I remember when Colter called me like 2 or 3 weeks after we talked about doing podcasts, and he's like, "So are you serious that you want to do a podcast?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Well, let's meet." And I'm like, "Oh, I think I am serious." But Colter is a doer, and he starts to get something. If it went up to me, I'd still be telling people I run into, I'm going to start a podcast, and it'd be a year and a half later, and I hadn't recorded one. But Colter's like, "Hey, you want to do this? Let's do this." And man, he has just pushed it, and it's been awesome. It really has. And Colter is a true servant leader. He always thinks about other people's experiences, always thinks about what's in it for other people, not so much what's in it for him. And hopefully you guys have felt that through this podcast, that it's not about him and I, it's about our experiences. Hopefully we really, truly can inspire other people to get out there and do it, because I am not the brightest tool in the shed by no means. And if anybody knows me, they're like, "Yeah, we know Jason's not the sharpest tool in the shed, but if I can do it, you can do it." And I'm the first to raise my hand. It's just finding the right process, finding the right people, finding the right knowledge, and you can go out there and get this done.
Yeah, it's truly up to you, right?
Yeah.
It comes down to the action that you take, and through 100 episodes, and 100 is really kind of a light term because we've thrown in so many like bonus packed 5-minute episodes. But ultimately, if somebody would just consume, a percentage of what we've been able to deliver and take some action and just move forward just a nudge toward how that can help them accomplish their goals. I really feel like, like having conversations with Jackie and Linda and Jace and Clayton, if they were to take that and start to apply it, we have other resources and connections that we've been able to develop over the last, couple of decades of experience. And, that's something that we want to share. We want it to bless people's lives. We want it to, augment their ability to earn and, gain that financial freedom.
Love it. Love it. Well, I tell you what, here's to another 100, right? And we'll just keep plugging away. I think the biggest thing for this is we just got to get it out there more. And I think that's where we're going to really try and focus on getting more subscribers and getting more people out there, because not to toot our own horn, but we've been in this for 2 decades now. And we've been through a lot. We've both been through recession, a downturn. We've both been through an uptick. We've both been through a downturn again. And now we're starting another uptick. So if there's any way we could help people out to help their learning curve, or to help them watch out for things that we had to go through, man, I can only imagine that there's some things out there we can help people do. And that's really, we don't make any money at this. We do this because we're doing it, right? And it's mostly out there just to see if we could help people to pull the trigger.
Yeah. Well, I'll come back to one of the phrases you've heard on lots of our episodes, but the opportunity of a lifetime comes around but once a week. It's not about having enough opportunities. It's about selecting the right ones.
Yeah.
And, every opportunity, every decision that we make in our lives is an opportunity to change our lives. It isn't just about one property. It isn't just about one deal. It isn't about just one relationship, but it could be.
Yeah.
And if we're not looking for those, then we will miss them.
And I believe that one idea can change your world. I really do. And if you can get one idea a week, and not just our podcast, listen to others. Go to workshops, go to free events, Go to conferences. Go and learn and network. Because I tell you what, every time I go to a workshop, every time I go to a couple day event, even if it's just a motivational one or if it's an actual workshop, I always come away with some idea that has changed me in one way or another. And there could be 100 ideas out there that get thrown, but one sticks. And it's worth a couple days. It's worth one day, whatever you're investing, it's worth it to get that one idea. Because that one idea, and if you do that 4 or 5 times a year, and that can change your world 4 or 5 times a year, where will you be 2 years from now? Where will you be 3 years from now? Just from getting some ideas. So go to those RIAs, go to those networking events, go to those workshops, listen to these podcasts, and just watch your world change.
Yeah.
And you can't even help it.
No, you can't. You change, right? You change because of your environment,
Yeah.
right? The birds of a feather flock together. And if you surround yourself with turkeys, then you end up with turkeys.
It's true. It's true.
I just wanted to mention one thing. A couple of weeks ago, not a couple of weeks ago, actually several weeks ago, I was diagnosed with a cancerous tumor. And through this process of surgeries and doctor's visits and other things, my wife gave me a shirt that I really appreciated, and it says 1% better every day. And as I think about that from a health perspective, I think about that also from a financial perspective, a wealth perspective, and relationships perspective. If I can just do slightly better, just a minor adjustment that allows for me to be 1% better every single day, take these tools, these strategies, the things that we've been able to introduce and just apply them, just 1 degree, right? 1%. And it truly can change the course of our lives for the positive.
Because it doesn't seem like much. 1 idea or 1 degree, right?
No, it doesn't.
But what happens if you're 1 degree off in a plane and you're flying across country? What can 1 degree do to you to hit your destination?
You will end up several hundred miles away from your destination.
It's so true. And so think about that. Think about just 1 degree, 1 thought, what that could do to the trajectory, did I say that? Trajectory of your life. Just 1 degree. And like, oh, come on, will I really learn something? One little thing. Or one thing you don't learn, what negativity or what negative impact can that have on your life by not doing something different, by staying where you're at because you think it's safe? Mm-hmm. What could 1 idea do to get you out of that spot to where you're not playing it safe, but you're playing it smart, or you're playing it to win and not just playing not to lose? And I think that just a little twitch, just a little tweak can really make a huge difference.
Yeah. I love that phrase. Play to win, don't play not to lose.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think most people are just playing not to lose,
Yeah.
And that is not a way to live life. And I've been there. I played it safe. I got the job. I got the deal. I didn't want to lose. And so I thought, well, I'm going to set up things so I don't lose. But I wasn't setting anything up for me to thrive and set up anything for me to win. And that thought just changed everything for me.
Yeah. Well, Jason, 100 episodes later, I thank you for your time, your energy, what you bring to the world. I just think you're an absolute powerhouse, and life is good with Jason Anderson in it.
I feel the same way about you, Colter. Seriously, I could say the exact same thing. My life will forever be changed by just reconnecting with you and doing these podcasts together. I am a different person, and I'm a different person for the better. And that's a movie. It just came out, right? like my daughter's seen it 25 times. My wife's seen it 30 times. I don't know. The Wicked, right? I have changed for the better. Isn't that one of the songs?
I'm sure it is.
I sat through it. It was good. But one time was good for me. But man, I'll tell you what, they watch it a bunch. But
so to conclude this episode, we're gonna have Jason sing this song for us.
Change for the better. But we have. It's been good. It's been good. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And look out. We're going to be doing more stuff. So
you got a masterpiece.